Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Samantha. How you guys doing? So clearly we are not in the same location that we are usually in. Well, technically we are in the same location. I just don't have my backdrop up today. I don't even know how to start this. I keep like stumbling over my words already. So today's video is going to be a bit different than the content that I've been posting lately. I I was scripting videos, I was writing videos. I don't know. I think things just really started to get to me a little bit, and I decided that instead of just ignoring it and, pushing it to the back again and pretending that it's not there and it's not happening, that I would share with you guys and open up a little bit. I started this channel being extremely vulnerable. I think when I first started, it was really a way for me to document my transition and document the different struggles that I went through with my transition and the different milestones that I reached and, just life as a trans person. But somewhere along the way, I kind of stopped doing that. More people started watching my content, and I started seeing that there were more young trans people watching my content and more people that were looking up to me as some sort of role model. I didn't want to share anything that they might internalize and have a bad takeaway from or with or whatever whatever I'm trying to say. Sorry. My brain's a little all over the place lately. I mean, for the past few months, I would say I've been experiencing a lot of brain fog. Excuse me if my words are not perfectly put together today, but I think it's time to just open up a little bit. I have been really struggling lately. Um, Sorry, I'm like already emotional. Like, girl, get it together. It's been like 2 seconds. Yeah, I've just been really struggling lately. And I'll talk about the reasons for why I'm struggling and all that kind of stuff. But I think I've also kind of felt like I just haven't been the most real with you guys. I, I, it's no secret that the world is a very scary place for trans people right now. And I have wanted to be some sort of comfort for you guys, some sort of escape for you guys to, kind of get away from the horror of like the political climate right now and the all the negative news around trans people and all the negative rhetoric around trans people. I wanted to give you guys some sort of escape from it. But I think in the process of doing that, I have not really like honored how I'm actually feeling. And I would hate for anybody out there to think that if they are struggling, if they are feeling the ways that I'm going to talk about in this video, that they're like wrong for that or like that they're the only ones feeling that way and that because they come onto my channel and they don't see me going through it, then they must be the only one. There's like 3 or 4 or 5 different things that I want to talk about in today's video. First of all, I think that all of this is kind of painted over the background of this political landscape. I know I've already talked about that a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like my body is just in fight or flight all the time because I just don't know what tomorrow's going to bring for trans people. I don't know how to show up here for you guys. If I'm being so real, like I don't know, it's scary, right? I don't want to fearmonger and add into any of the fear that we have about what's going to come for trans people and like what it means and all this kind of stuff, but I also don't want to avoid it. Like I would like imagine in the worst situation, right, where trans people did have to flee for whatever reason. And again, I don't know if this is the case. I just don't know. If that were the case and I never said anything about it because I was trying to not feed into that sense of fear, I would feel horrible for not bringing it up and for not like like warning you guys. And also if nothing ever does happen, if nothing ever does come from this and it's just, political rhetoric that's going around, I don't want to make you guys more afraid than you have to be. So it's a really difficult thing to navigate right now for me. Thankfully, there has been some good news for the trans community. Mamdani just won the New York mayoral election, and he is somebody who has been extremely pro trans in his campaign. He released a full pro trans ad, which is great. There was a new mayor that was elected who is trans herself. There are politicians all over the country who are being elected who are pro trans and not afraid to stand in their support of trans people. And I think that we should, be happy about that. We should celebrate that. But also, in a way, I think that the damage is done. We can come back from it. We will come back from it. There will be a pendulum swing back in favor of trans people. But in a lot of ways, culturally, the trans community has been shit on, like really, really hard. I don't know, it's just made the work that I do here in my channel much more difficult. And while a lot of people do see through this political rhetoric and see it for what it is, kind of really this political scapegoat, we're being used, and a lot of people do see that, but also a lot of people don't. When I started my channel, when I started doing this work here in my channel of, spreading awareness about the trans community and teaching people about my life and about, trans people's lives, it felt like there was a lot of room for growth. Not many people knew who trans people were. And now, a lot of people still don't know trans people in their real life, but it feels like everybody does have an opinion on trans people. And a lot of times it's not just like a neutral, like, oh yeah, they're okay, like they're cool, whatever. It's opinions that have been planted into their minds by anti-trans politicians and like this anti-trans rhetoric that has permeated literally everything. So that's the first thing that I've been struggling with, just really trying to navigate this new climate for trans activism and this new climate for talking about trans things, because everybody's got an opinion. I can, talk about trans memes. I can talk about trans representation on a TV show or whatever. And people will be in my comments calling me a groomer and calling me like these horrible things and saying that I'm attacking children and just all of these like really evil things that are just not true. Obviously, they're not true, but it's just very draining. I don't know. It's just affected me a lot emotionally because it's like I don't really know what the future holds for this channel. I don't know what the future holds for the work that I do. I just don't know. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how to navigate this. And also on a more personal level, these rhetorics have really affected me and like the way that I think about myself. I think that when I first started this, I was so confident in who I was. I was so confident in everything about, what I believed. And at the end of the day, I am still very sure of the things that I believe. I've thought through my positionings very in depth. So I don't want that to be misconstrued. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like I have to really second guess everything that I say and like really, check everything that I say to make sure it can't be misconstrued in some way by people or make sure that it won't be misunderstood by people. And also, I have to make sure that I don't let it affect me personally, right? Because like this work that I do doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? I am a trans person. So like fighting back against all of these anti-trans positions, it's not just like me like listing off the facts and like me, combating their narratives. It's me like defending my identity over and over again. And it's just so heavy. Sorry, see, this is what happens. I like get in my head a little bit and I like overthink things and I don't just like say them. Like I can't just like let it out. I like get so insecure about like saying things wrong. I struggle to like think clearly, and it's so frustrating hearing these narratives about like how trans people aren't real and that it's, you know, something that happens because of trauma. When you hear that over and over again and you are somebody that has lived through traumatic experiences, it like can make you question. And like I know who I am. I know how I like to present myself to the world. I know who I want to be in some ways, I guess. But like at the same time, I do have OCD, like I said. So like these thoughts don't leave my head very easily. And I think just like because these thoughts don't leave my head very easily, it like creates this kind of shame because I have always been so sure. And like I've always presented myself as somebody who is so sure. And I think for a while, I thought that since I was having these thoughts, it meant that I wasn't sure. So yeah, I've been dealing with that a lot. I've gone through therapy. I know that we are not our thoughts. I know that our thoughts don't always mean something. And so, I think the first step is maybe just being honest and just saying like, yeah, it gets to me too, girl. I was watching Maya Henry's podcast. Love Maya Henry. Shout out to her. Shout out to her podcast, Brain Rot. Really good. I was watching her podcast where she opens up about, things that she's been going through, and she's very vulnerable and talking about that. And I thought about how much it helped me. And, like I said, I don't want anybody to internalize the things that I'm feeling or to think that because somebody that transitioned 10 years ago and struggling with this, it means that you're going to struggle with this if you transition. I don't want you to like take that away from this video. That's not why I'm saying this. I just want to say that if you do struggle with this, you're not alone. And that, even people like me that are online and talking about how happy they are and everything, and how great transition was for them. And I do still believe that transition has been so amazing for me. But at the same time, like, life isn't perfect. I'm human just like everybody else. I get sad just like everybody else. And so, yeah, something else that I've been really struggling with is feeling like I don't really belong anywhere, and that I can't really like relate to people. And again, I think this is kind of something that has been planted in my mind by these anti-trans, activists or whatever you want to call them. Obviously, I've never related to men, so I've never really, felt like I belong with guys. That's just like a given. But I've also started to feel like I don't really belong with women, and I feel like I'm an outsider when I'm around them. And doing a little bit of like internal digging and thinking about it, I think I just feel so like, I feel like it's almost like an imposter syndrome. I feel like when I'm talking to a cisgender woman, I feel like she's just like immediately clocking me, and she thinks that I'm, taking away women's rights. She thinks I'm invading her space, and she, thinks I'm trying to mock her or whatever it may be. So I've just been feeling very like uncomfortable because I don't know, I would never like want to make somebody uncomfortable like that. So I think I've just like started to just like distance myself. I just feel very out of place. I feel like I don't know, I feel like everybody just wants to feel a sense of belonging. I mean, saying this now, I feel like I've always felt like this, right? I remember being in like elementary school and feeling like I didn't really belong anywhere. And maybe that's part of the reason, at least, why I started this channel, was because I wanted to feel some sort of belonging. I wanted to feel some sort of community around me, or I wanted to feel some sort of sense of being seen. I think everybody goes through this, right? Everybody goes through this process of trying to figure out who they are and figure out where they belong. So maybe I just have to play a little bit of catch up now because I didn't really like have this opportunity when I was young to like figure out who I was, because I was just in like this state of like needing to protect myself. I think that when we're trans and we're not allowed to express ourselves freely, it is really like a trauma. When your body's going through that all the time, and like you're always in fight or flight and like always trying to perform and conform to what other people expect you to be and like what is societally acceptable, it stunts you from being able to figure out who you really are and like where you belong and like where you want to be. And even then, once I figured out I was trans, like going through the process of transitioning in itself was traumatic. Like that, it was traumatic in the sense of like my medical transition was so difficult. Adjusting to life as this new gender was really difficult. Adjusting to life as a trans person is difficult. And I mean, I know everybody goes through difficult times. I'm not trying to be like, woe is me. And I've had the most difficult life ever because I'm very privileged in my life. I've been so incredibly lucky. But at the same time, like, I don't know, I feel like I've been very stunted in a lot of ways. And then the last thing that I've been really struggling with is, and it sounds so silly, I hate like putting so much emphasis on this, but it is something that is very prominent in my life right now, is I've been really struggling with dating and relationships. I mean, I've talked briefly here and there about my last relationship and how that was difficult, and that's not why I'm still struggling. I mean, obviously I have some like PTSD or like CPTSD from that whole experience, but that's not what I'm referring to right now. I think that being trans just makes it so difficult to date, not in the sense that like nobody wants to date me and like I can't find somebody that wants to date me, but just in the sense that I get so in my head about being trans and, what that might mean for how a partner might feel about me and like why they might do certain things or why they might say certain things. I've had plenty of flings, I've had plenty of relationships where the person doesn't care at all that I'm trans, but it's just so difficult to be trans because every time something like goes wrong in a relationship or every time I like feel some sort of like pulling away or like some sort of rejection, I immediately blame it on my transness. Guys can still be extremely mean when they find out that I'm trans, and when I disclose that I'm trans or whatever, they can just like there's like an almost like an immediate shift in the way that they treat me and the way that we interact, and it just feels so horrible. A lot of times it feels like I'm like a monster to them once I tell them that I'm trans. I know that a lot of cisgender women go through things like this where, men just don't treat them right. I don't know. I think I do have a lot of shame about being trans, and that whenever anything kind of happens, like I said, I just immediately blame the fact that I'm trans, and it just like compounds and compounds and compounds over time. I hate even talking about it because, I didn't transition to be with a man. I didn't transition. I didn't have surgeries to be an ideal partner for men. I did this because this is who I am. I did this so that I would feel comfortable in my body and that I could feel whole. But in a lot of ways, it feels like I like gave up a chance at like finding love to be who I am. And as much as I want to say like, oh, I don't care, like it's fine. I'll just, I'm happy with myself. I'll do my own thing. It's fine. I'm human. I want to, feel loved by somebody in that like intimate romantic way. It's just been a lot to deal with, all of this together is just so overwhelming. Not only having people come onto my YouTube channel, which was originally this like safe space for me, accusing me of like horrible things, to dealing with my own mental health issues and my own OCD, to dealing with feeling behind and to not knowing what my career is going to end up looking like, to feeling very alone. It's just really overwhelming. And yeah, I've just been struggling. I know I'll be okay. It just might take a little time to like regroup. I guess I just want to conclude by saying, please don't internalize any of this. It's to be cheesy and cliche. It's a difficult time for me right now, but it's a good life. I will be fine. I will get through this. If you're dealing with something similar, you'll get through it too. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Like I said, this is how my channel started, by being so real with you and by sharing my life and by sharing the things that I was going through. And I feel like I not only owe it to you, but I owe it to myself to reconnect with that version of myself. Not to do a little plug right now, but I will be relaunching my podcast very soon. I think it's going to look very similar to this, right? I'm going to be sitting right here with my backdrop down so you guys can see my house, and I'll be talking like this. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know down below. If you made it this long, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you for being here. And I promise the next video will not be as sad. I love you guys.